Welcome to Behavioral Health Today, a podcast brought to you by the Triad Network. This podcast is designed to share trending topics occurring within the world and our communities and bring them a behavioral and mental health perspective.
Welcome to Behavioral Health Today. I'm your host, Charlie Dixon. Joining me today is Theresa Rose Bajt. Theresa Rose is a licensed psychologist with over 30 years of experience in helping individuals navigate adult disorders such as anxiety, depression, OCD, and grief. Dr. Bajt specializes in blending psychology with spiritual growth, empowering clients to find harmony between mind, body, and spirit. Named a top woman in medicine in 2023, she is also the recipient of the prestigious Impact Award for her life changing contributions. We're excited to have Theresa Rose with us today to discuss seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD, how it differs from typical depression, the role of sunlight and vitamin D in mental health, and practical strategies for coping with SAD. Theresa Rose, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, to get started, can you explain what seasonal affective disorder is and how it differs from other types of depression?
Well, seasonal affective disorder, what it is actually in the title. It happens during the seasons of, I want to say late September, and it goes through March. It's when the sun is not as available to us. And ironically, it's not as available to us. And then people have a tendency to stay more indoors. So that gives that compounding problem.
Yeah,
They don't get outside because it's colder and they're not getting as much sunlight.
got you. So, can you talk with us a little bit about what those symptoms may look like and how it might manifest differently in different individuals?
Okay. So with seasonal affective disorder, we're going to look at just pretend there's a bear that goes off into the cave. Remember those stories how a bear goes off into the cave?
Hmm.
So they go off and they sleep, they eat big meals, and then they go off and they sleep. And we're mammals. And we do the same thing. We're more sleepy. We want to sleep in more. We eat. And again, this is when I say the seasons, this is the time that we have the opportunities to be with family and to eat more sugary things. At
Absolutely.
Thanksgiving, at Christmas or New Year's or whatever holidays you celebrate.
Hmm.
So we're looking at sleepiness, sugar cravings, and goes along with it, of course, is the weight gain. And after we've gained the weight, especially in our bellies, then we don't want to move too much. And then we have low energy. So one thing feeds on the other.
Right. Right. And like you mentioned before, just that lack of being able to be outside and in the sun. I'm
Yes.
not sure about other people, but I am from the South and I really like 70s and above. And
Uh-huh.
so, this weather we're having right now, this 30s and 40s, I'm not going outside.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not.
where do you live?
I live in right outside of Charlotte in North Carolina.
Oh, it's temperate, but yeah. North Face sells some good warm clothes. You can get outside.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So, just like I mentioned, or you mentioned as well, people do tend to experience mood shifts during the fall and the winter. So, how can someone really distinguish between what is normal seasonal blues, I can't go outside, that kind of thing, and seasonal affect disorder? What's the difference?
Okay. Oh, there's a big difference that time will tell because
Okay.
the winter blues, which we used to say, oh, they've got the winter blues. That's so temporary. And that fades with the right person calling or reaching out or finding the greatest deal or whatever. That kind of just goes away. But seasonal affective disorder is not as temporary. It can last, several months. And we really do have one thing building on another that, brings us to a very low point.
Got you.
So the
And
blues is more passing. It's not even in the DSM, which is our diagnostic criteria. We don't have seasonal blues. No, we don't have that. We have seasonal affective disorder, but the blues is temporary.
okay. Okay. Can you explain like what happens in our body? What are the some of the physiological and psychological reasons behind the symptoms like fatigue, decreased appetite, maybe even those sugar cravings, social withdrawals that come along with seasonal affect disorder?
I'm going to go back to two things. Well, one thing, which is the sun. That's why we call it seasonal because we have less sun available to us. And then there's a cascading piece that happens after that. So we have circadian rhythm in our life that everybody has disrupted for whatever reasons. If you have a baby, if you're finishing graduate school, you are watching Netflix, and doing a marathon, people interrupt their for all kinds of reasons. good riddance, we think, right? But after you interrupt that, then you're interrupting your melatonin, that is a natural hormone in our body that helps us sleep. But then our serotonin levels, which is like a mood, it helps our mood in our brain. It helps level, I want to say, the neurotransmitters in our brain. And then there's that gut brain connection, because when we're feeling low with the serotonin, that's when we eat a lot of carbohydrates and we feeling good for a moment, our comfort food, but then it doesn't really help our serotonin levels in our brain. It's so temporary.
Got you. Got you.
So there's a
Good.
hormone imbalance that happens if we don't get enough sun.
Okay. And a little bit ago, you mentioned a lot of this has really to do with the amount of exposure to sunlight, which I think is commonly known. That's where a lot of our vitamin D as humans come from. Is there
Perfect.
a way to manufacture that? Is there such thing as light therapy as a treatment? How people get relief from this?
Thank you very much. Well, you've done your reading. So, vitamin D is very important for our mood. And everyone who gets a physical exam, that should be looked at. In fact, when I have
Hmm.
clients who come in who have very, very low moods, I go, when's the last time you had your vitamin D checked? So, vitamin D helps synthesize, it helps to regulate our moods. And we get that from we get that from the sun, right?
Hmm.
And when you go into light therapy, which we're looking at 10,000 lux, 10,000, between 10,000, you don't want to go above 15. That helps synthesize the vitamin D. It also helps regulate the serotonin. So we're not going to eat as much. And then it helps suppress the melatonin. So if our melatonin is suppressed, we're not gonna feel sleepy all day. We need melatonin to sleep, and we need serotonin to feel good and happy during the day.
Got you. That's interesting to me. I suppose that's why people are happier during the summer, right? Because you're
Oh,
spending
yeah.
so much time outside. That's interesting.
Yeah, I always say to a psychologist or a novice psychologist, I go, don't try to start your private practice in the summer, because people are generally happy.
Mhm.
So start in the fall, because that's when people are the seasonal affective disorder, and B are indoors and around their family, and that pulls up all kinds of things. So you're going to have a busy practice if you start in I would say, the fall to winter months.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So, in addition to light therapy, are there other types of treatments? How can things like antidepressants or maybe even talk therapy play a role in treatment? And would you combine these approaches or, how would you treat it?
Well, I'm holistic. I believe in combining a lot of things, and I'm a big advocate, of course, for talk therapy. Our thoughts get pretty tangled in our mind, right? When we start thinking negative, because we're human, and that's how we stayed alive as a race. We start thinking, "I can't do that. I can't do that," because it keeps us safe. And
Mhm.
when you're in therapy and you start talking about things and the possibility that you can do better and try things, and you've got a safety net, that's going to help you expand your mind and to put away some of the negative thoughts. So, talk therapy is very important, just as I want to say, an emotional cheerleader sometimes, or a
Okay.
safe place. And then, of course, antidepressants if they're needed. But there are, more natural things you can do. But people come into me who are already on medications. I see several bipolar people, people who have depression, anxiety. They can already have that as a diagnosis and still experience sad and feel that. It's kind of like, I already have a broken leg. How can I get a sore throat? Yeah, you can have a broken leg and a sore throat. You can have two things.
We'll be right back after word from our sponsor.
Whether you're a longtime or first time listener to Behavioral Health Today, you're probably familiar with Triad, the company that brings you this podcast. But you may not know that Triad also hosts a community for current and aspiring behavioral and mental health professionals, featuring trending content and education and career resources, all for free. If you are a behavioral or mental health professional, or you're studying to become one, join more than 80,000 people on Triad by claiming your free professional account today. Visit us at hellotriad.com/BHT. That's hellotriad.com/BHT and join the Triad community today.
Got you. Got you. And you kind of alluded to that there were other holistic approaches. Can you talk to us some more about that?
Oh, thank you. I love that question. Okay, here we go. So I am a very strong believer in gratitude. All my clients who are with me know that I talk about doing a gratitude journal every night. I practice this myself. I highly suggest it. I have a gratitude journal that has 5 lines. So writing down 3 to 5 things every single night that you're grateful for. Now, people say, I don't have anything to be grateful for. Yeah, you do. You've got shelter. You've got shelter. You've got running water. Hey, somebody gave you a compliment or you were kind to somebody. There's always, always, always something to be grateful for. Really. I ask them to do this at night before they go to sleep because the reticular activating system, that's the part in our brain that pulls thoughts to us, will stay with us. So short term memory goes into long term memory in our sleep. And there's a student out there. This is like, I learned this in graduate school. How do you pass and do well if you repetition, 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 and then you're and get a good night's sleep, and then you're able to see better things the next day, or be able to pull up the information. I didn't do that in undergrad. I don't even know how I got through undergrad because I crammed everything. I,
Yep.
I but I did that in graduate school, and I did it. Yeah, honestly, I did okay. But sleep is very important, and if you write down what you're grateful for before you go to sleep is going
Mhm.
to you're going to be looking for it the next day. It's kind of like when people, I bought a pink Cadillac. I didn't, but I bought a pink Cadillac. I think I'm so unique. I'm the only person who bought a pink Cadillac. And you're driving home from the car dealership and you go, oh, there's a pink Cadillac. Oh my God. Oh my God. There's a pink Cadillac. Well, that's the RAS. That's the reticular activating system, pulling those things to you to recognize. And if you do this with gratitude, the next day, this is not going to happen in a week or 2 weeks. It takes 66 days now. But eventually, you'll be having these experiences that you'll go, that's something to be grateful for. Hey, I love that. That's cool. I'm going to write that down. And you will build the building blocks. You'll start enhancing your life by your thoughts. Thoughts that are wired together. And that's what you do by a gratitude journal. You're wired together. They start firing together. It's like braces, right? You go and your teeth are all like crooked and the orthodontist straightens them out and you go, wait a minute, your teeth's been straight for a year and you still got braces on. Well, it has to stay that
Mhm.
way for a while. And the same with gratitude. So, okay, gratitude is one. I'll get off of that. Two is walk or exercise. Now, I have
Mhm.
clients who come in and I'm Dr. White, I can't do that. I don't have time for that. I've got 8 kids. Okay, then walk. Everybody's got time to walk. Oh, you go to Dunkin' Donuts every morning and you do the drive-through. Why don't you just park there at Dunkin' Donuts and walk in? Just the small things, just the
Yep.
small things. Walk, water, drink water. As we age, this is a very important factor, our thirst receptors shrink. The medical facts. And yeah, now we don't need to drown ourselves and carry around a jug of water, but to drink water, it helps us. It helps us think better. Your complexion looks better if you care about that. But it's just an additive to help your brain because your brain has, a lot of fluid in it and you want to keep that going. And your liver and your brain are connected. Get out as much as you can, the sunlight, take for a walk, get a warm coat. They sell them everywhere. And then my clients love me on this one too. It's the sunlight before the blue light. Now, people sleep with their cell phone. People sleep with their computer. What? No, that's not good health. Because if you're putting the blue light right in your eyes first thing in the morning or last thing at night, that's your eyes are part of your brain. And so you're disrupting. There's actual studies now that show that teenagers who are out in front of the computer or games between 11 and 2 have more rates of depression.
Interesting.
So, hey, that's such an easy thing. Stop me looking at the blue light. So it's sunlight before blue light. And what that means for
Okay.
me is I'm in St. Louis, cloudy. I have shutters first thing in the morning. I open the shutters and I make sure I have some sunlight before I
Okay.
walk down the hall and see, who wants me. So the next piece I want to say is look for something funny to laugh at. instead of looking for what is the latest thing politically, who's getting, what's the slash and murder rate in whatever. Let's not fill our minds with things that are going to bother us and aggravate us. Let's not do that. Let's find something that is going to lift us up. As you may or may not know, I'm a widow. My husband dies in September. Michael, because you've chosen a better time to leave? I don't know. So that's right going into the dark period. And by January of that year, there are, the cascading effect when someone passes. I was like looking for Saturday Night Live videos or funniest videos on YouTube just to make me laugh because
Yeah.
laughter is very important to have in our life. And we don't seek it. We just think it's going to come to us. No, 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 no. Folks, seek it because we seek bad news. We do. We're going to look for something we want to have a bone to pick on. No, let's
Mhm.
look for something funny that's going to make us laugh.
Absolutely.
Then we've got healthy diets. I'm wildly unpopular about this one too. Just eating, a few fruits and vegetables, just eating a good, healthy diet. I had a client, I said, all I want you to do is just track your food. That's all I wanted her to do. So she had fast food, breakfast, dinner, and supper. Is that so unusual now? I don't think so.
No.
No. But think of what that does to your body. And if you're trying to get healthy and well, and you're eating, no offense against any fast food, because I've tried them all. I like it myself. But at least try to have something healthy and pure every day. You know that saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away?
Mhm, mhm.
There's something to that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's my last. There is this book called Do One Thing Different. It's by Bill Hanna. My husband used to say that I was his groupie because I went to his lectures. If they're in Pennsylvania or New Mexico, he wrote this book, and it's really about a man's depression and how he got over it because he did one thing different. And that's all we're asking right now. Just try to do one thing different in your life, and then it feeds on itself. But if I can't do the gym. Okay, you can't do the gym. Can you walk? Can you walk around your building at lunch? Just do one thing different in a positive direction, and I think that'll also help you during, I want to say, the seasonal affective disorder time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One more thing. There is this book called Heal Your Biochemistry and Heal Your Brain, and it's by Walsh, Walsh. He's a PhD, and his headquarters are out of, I think it's Naperville, Illinois. I'm from Illinois, so anything that's from Illinois, I'm always going to be attracted to. And he is, like I said, a PhD. He will look at your blood and tell you what's missing or what needs to be enhanced. Now, I have had
Hmm.
clients do this in conjunction with medicine. And I'm telling you, the medicine goes down, their mood increases more quickly. And I found, again, a natural enhancement to help ourselves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
There's
Okay.
also one more thing, and just sorry, this is for people who have a lot of money. The Amen Clinic, Amen, Daniel Amen. I know he is very popular, and he has. I have several clients with money who with some money because this is not insurance covered. He will do like a brain spec. He will look at your brain, and then they'll tell you by what your brain looks like and what you need. It kind of maps out your place of health. But it's 5,000, I think it's $5,000 in 2 visits.
Nice.
Uh,
Okay. Speaking of vitamin D, though, so I know that it naturally comes from the sunlight, and that's where
yeah.
we would prefer for it to come. But speaking to someone who does have chronically low vitamin D, I've been given supplements, which I'm sure other people
Yeah.
have as well. What are your thoughts about the effectiveness of a supplement of vitamin D versus having it or gaining it the natural way? Is it a way to gain just as much from the sun, standing outside, as it is from, a pill?
Okay. Love that question because as Americans, especially, we like the pill in the microwave, don't we? We like fast. And health is not fast. Health takes a while, both mental and physical, and they are together. So taking the pill is what we're doing now because people who, let's say they go to work And at 7, they have to leave their house at 6:30. It's still dark, especially out here. And then they don't get home until 7:30 or 6 o'clock at night, which is dark. And they're in a building all day. So
Mm.
what are their, what's their alternative? So they're going to take a pill. I've actually had a client who had to go in for some IV infusions because her vitamin D was so low.
Wow.
So yeah, and that the vitamin D is harder with people of color, as you may or may not know, because yeah, your skin. So yeah, there
Absolutely.
there's always a payoff for beauty, isn't there? There's always something. Yeah.
It is. It definitely is. That's why I was very curious about that question because I actually do go outside,
Uh huh.
but I just think it is harder as a person of color for me to absorb the vitamin D directly from the sun because I'll do the walks around the building and things like that, but I still have to supplement to be able
Yeah.
to keep myself, at an even keel.
Yeah. Again, a price of beauty. Oh,
Seasonal
and then
affective disorder.
I
Okay.
suggest fish oil. I do suggest fish oil, and the way I can, and I take vitamin D and fish oil every day.
Okay.
And the way I can get people on board about this, I say, like, when you shave, it's like using shaving oil. It just makes it go out smoother, right? Both
Hmm. Hmm.
women with their legs and men with their faces. And fish oil does that. It just enhances again your brain, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for optimum brain health. And as Americans, especially, we do everything in the world I don't want to say necessarily harm it, but we're not doing things to help it. We have such a fast pace here. Money is
Hmm.
very important. I understand. I pay my rent and house payments too, but we have to slow down a little bit and enjoy things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, is seasonal affective disorder, is it something that I realize that I have one season or one winter, and then every winter I continue? Like, is there a repetition to it? Is there any way to kind of know early warning signs or triggers to look out for if I've experienced in the past? And will it always come back?
That's a good question. I'd like to say no, it won't come back anymore, but that's not true. What we see is patterns in people's behavior. And let's go back to that again. Say you got through your first stint of seasonal affective disorder. You took a medication, maybe you did the vitamin D, maybe. And then you go back and you live your normal life, right? Which is fast food, no gratitude, just your basic life. If you're not making any changes between 1 year to the second year, I think you could expect for it to return.
Okay.
So yes, there's a high ratio. If you had it 1 year, you're going to have it next year. And I have clients who, I have been blessed with who have seen me for years. And I go, it's that time again. It's that time. Get your light out, get your light out. We know that. I have mothers who say, I don't have time. I don't have time to sit in front of a light for 45 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes. I go, and there are caps that have it underneath the light underneath their bill. So they can put the cap on, they can fold the laundry, cut the vegetables. Notice my get for vegetables, but they can do things at a normal rate and still get the light. Now, remember, the light has to, hit your eyeballs for it to be effective. So you could sit it down and read the paper or do any kind of project. It's just got to hit your eyeballs.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. So, one of the key symptoms that you've mentioned about seasonal affect disorder is the social withdrawal, the need or the feeling or the want to kind of be more alone. Again, some of that contributes to what it feels like outside. And I know that it must affect relationships and personal connections. Is there something that people can do to maintain a level of social support during that time?
Yes, but okay, so there are plenty of places to reach out. We've got, Facebook because there's support groups, Reddit. People get on Reddit and they read. So there are all those things that you can go to. I'm an advocate of being the person that offers something to other human beings, like send cards, make the phone call, find out when their birthday is. Have they lost somebody, from a pet to a person? I'm going to be an advocate of trying to do things yourself. And TA therapy, that's the adult, there's child, the critical parent. And I always say, let's get to our adult. I know you don't feel like it. I didn't feel like coming to work today either. but we don't feel like things and we still have to do things. And that's just part of being an adult.
Yeah.
And so I ask people, if you're driving, if you know how to drive, then okay, let's be an adult and like reach out to people.
Absolutely. Okay. So I had actually heard about seasonal affect disorder before this, and I'd heard it just kind of in passing. I'm a social worker, so I'd heard it kind of in passing, and it was a conversation between two other professionals, and one was deeply, she believed in it, that this is real, and the other professional was like, "You are crazy. This is I don't know what you're talking about. That's just people get sad when it's cold outside." So, along with that as a myth or a misconception, what are the things have you heard about seasonal affect disorder, and how do you experience them in your work?
Okay, so it's like when people go to a movie. Someone will go to a movie and they'll go, "Wasn't that the most moving? Oh my God, that was so eye-catching. I loved it." And then someone will go to the movie and say, "I was totally bored. I went and got popcorn. I yawned through the whole thing." And they're totally not into it, right? And that's the same thing with seasonal affective disorder. People
Yeah.
can and do say, "Yeah, this is what it is," and other people go, "No, it's really not saying. I think they're making it all up." So, and again, it depends on the individual and how passionately they feel about things. But
Absolutely.
I have seen it
Mhm.
with my clients. There is a dip. That's why I talk about the lamp in September. September, the vitamin D. When I go to the doctor, I always say, "So, how's my vitamin D looking?" Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so, as we are entering into the winter months, I mentioned earlier that it is definitely starting to get cold where I am and in most of the country at this time. What types of proactive steps can people take to prevent or minimize the onset of seasonal affect disorder?
Okay. So I'm going to go back to if you've had it, then you know you need to start practicing better health,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
All right. But if you've never had it and I'm thinking, God, am I just border? Then I'm going to go back to again the gratitude, the water, the vitamin D, a fish oil, healthy diet. If you know you're going to go on a picnic and it could rain, you bring an extra umbrella, right? You come prepared. And this is the way it is now in our lives. If seasonal affective disorder can possibly be something that you may be getting, then you come prepared. You prepare yourself. You
So,
act differently. You treat yourself better.
yeah.
It's better to be proactive than reactive. It's so much better. It's easier for everybody. So, get some warm clothes, take a walk. Take a walk. Get the sunlight, get the sunlight. They're on special. Amazon always has some special running. So we're looking at 10,000 lux. Don't don't go up to anything over 15. Please, please, please. People, me included, we always think, oh, if it's this good at this level, if I double it,
Increase it.
it's
Mhm.
oh my God, it's gonna work. And no, it doesn't quite work that way. I had a client, she was a lawyer, and she had seasonal affective disorder. So she thought she's bright, really smart. She's fun. She set up her light after everybody left because she didn't want to be embarrassed about her light, right? And she had all of these files and cases or whatever to do. And she did them until like 10 o'clock at night with the light on the whole time.
Mm.
And then she talked to me about her trouble sleeping. And I'm like, "Yeah, no, you put the light on first thing in the morning and it just for a half hour to 45 minutes. Nothing's gonna make it better by an hour. Nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm actually glad that you brought the light back up because that's something that I did not ask before. So light therapy is something that I could just do like myself. Like I can go on Amazon and buy
Yes. Yeah.
myself. Like, okay.
Yeah. You're gonna look for 10,000 lux. Get the kind that you can put on as like a hat, or I just saw
Okay.
something that's more like glasses that sit up above your on your forehead. There are so many modern things now that you can use. There's lamps that you can put next to your chair that if when you sit and read at night. So
Okay.
again, this can, if you do one thing different, it can help with another positive thing along the way.
Absolutely. Because then at that point, I'm with my light and reading from a book and not necessarily using that blue light from my
Oh,
phone.
that blue light, folks. Yeah, let's try to bring down that blue light. Let's try to bring it down. Remember, our eyes are a part of our brain.
So, where can listeners find more resources or even support if they think they themselves or they have a loved one that may be suffering from seasonal affective disorder?
Okay, there's APA, that's American Psychological Association. There's NIH, so it's National Institute of Mental Health. Psychology Today, that I said a Mayo Clinic, and NAMI, which is, let's see, it's the National Alliance of Mental Illness. I really don't like that word, but yeah, NAMI.
Okay.
And every city should have a NAMI. And I've had clients a part of that organization. And again,
Right.
that's to reach out instead of waiting for something to come in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of them, I know I've worked with NAMI before, and they even have lots of support groups for different things as well. So I would
Yes.
assume that they probably have something for seasonal affective disorder too.
Yes. Although remember, it's seasonal, so it's brief.
Right.
It's not a terminal disease.
Yeah. Yep. Thankfully. Okay. And
Thank you.
before we go today, can you share with us any last thoughts that you may have or something sweet and hopeful for our listeners?
Thank you. I always like to end with something sweet. What I really want to say, and for everyone to keep in mind, this is a seasonal affective disorder, which means it happens for a season. And you have control. It's not a helpless situation. I can't do anything about it. You have control and you can get yourself out of this. It's not terminal.
And thank you so much, Theresa Rose. I really have appreciated speaking with you today.
Thank you.
And thank you to our listeners for taking the time to join us. Before we go, we'd love your help. Please leave a review and share the podcast with a friend. By by spreading the word, you help us grow and reach more people, allowing others to discover the valuable insights shared in each episode. Thank you for being such an important part of the Behavioral Health Today community. As always, the resources for this episode and an archive of all of our other episodes can be found on our webpage at triadhq.com/BHT. And we look forward to having you back with us next time on Behavioral Health Today.
We appreciate all the support from our community, and if you like our show, one of the best ways you can support it is by giving us a 5-star rating and leaving a review. Behavioral Health Today is a podcast part of the Triad Behavioral Health Network, all rights reserved.